get up with the alarm, whatever time it reads on a Monday. Old coffee cup in hand, wrinkled office pants, wear 'em anyway. My mind goes over how the day will be, with common stale predictability. I'll try to change you and you'll try to change me. Then we'll fall asleep with the same old belief. This is easy. A comfortable routine of daydreaming. Life would be better if I can't change the way things are, so I'll hit the bar where the drinks are stiff. Stuck in stories years and years old, always trying to maintain control. I wrote this play of me on my knees, clinging to the same old belief. This is easy. Breathe in, breathe out, let silence hold you. Living in love, accepting my mind and what it does and will always do. Set fire to everything I think I know. What does the world look like when I let go? Free falling in simplicity, understanding that requires no belief. This is easy. This is easy.
Pray with me. Just settling into this time as we recognize the power and presence that is in and through everything. Experiencing it in the beautiful day, the smiles on each other's faces, the connection that we are. That divine energy of love is in everything. And surrender. It is part of that process of connection and love, allowing. And I just give great thanks for this day as we honor all those who connect and pray, whether it be in synagogue, mosque, sweat lodge, hiking out in nature, or nestled in at home. Wherever those gather, we just hold them on high as we are connected. And I give great thanks for Reverend Jen as we know she is a conduit of that divine source as she speaks to us through the tears, through the joy. It is all love. And I just give great thanks for this community, this beautiful community, as it is vibrant and loving, and I have deep gratitude. And it is in this space of gratitude that I simply allow this to be perfect as we affirm this service blessed in one voice by saying, "And so it is." So the words of inspiration this morning come first from Jack Kornfield. To let go does not mean to get rid of. To let go means to let be. When we let be with compassion, things come and go on their own. And from Brené Brown. Let go of who you think you should be in order to be who you are. Be imperfect and have compassion for yourself. Connection is the result of authenticity. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. Do not will or try to compel things to happen. Things happen by an immutable law, and you do not need to energize the essence of being. It is already big with power. All you need to do is realize this fact and let it be done unto you or unto that for which you are working. Let, L-E-T, is a big word and an important one. By taking thought, you do not add 1 cubit to reality, but you do allow or let reality to manifest in the things you are doing.
I'd like to ask you to take just a moment and think about a time when you were lifting something, carrying something, holding something, and you were holding on to it really tight. And after a time went by, you started to notice that your hands were kind of cramping up, that holding on to it for at the duration or the strength that you were, it started to cause you some body pain. And if you ignored that, what happened next was additional pain and discomfort showed up, and maybe even into the muscles of your arm began to hurt as well. And sometimes what happens is we hold on to something so tightly. I mean, maybe it's something important. You're helping someone with a project or whatever, but we can hold on so tightly that when we finally are able to let go, that there is this challenge with the hands, and it doesn't immediately return to the gentle, flexible place that it is, and it takes a minute. It takes a minute for us to be able to relax those muscles and let go. Now think about how that works in the world of metaphysics. We hold on to something in our minds, in our hearts, so deeply, so intensely, that there starts to be a cramping up, if you will, in the body. There starts to be a discomfort because we're holding on and we're not willing or considering maybe letting go. And what happens to the body in the world of in this process of how this works, what starts to manifest in the body is discomfort, and eventually can lead to cellular breakdown. It can lead to illness. It can lead to disorder if we ignore the fact that we're holding on that tightly. What a great lesson for us today to look at this very thing. To look at this idea of what it means to let go and let in. Because one of the things we do know, without doubt, is that while our hands are filled with whatever it is we're holding on to in the world of form, it is impossible to pick up anything else. And so we are required to put something down, to let it go. Maybe not pay as much attention to it right now, so that we can turn our attention to bringing something more in. You know, there is a part of each one of us, I believe, that is eager to be shown to the world. Maybe it's your sense of humor. Maybe it's your knack for knowledge and detail. Maybe it's you've got an eye for fashion and color. There's a part of each one of us that we truly cherish about ourselves, and we'd love to show it to the world. It's an expression of who we are, and we are proud of it, and we are confident about it. We have this sense that that piece of us is acceptable. Others will appreciate us if we demonstrate this part of us. And yet we also have a tendency to have an awareness about the little things about us that maybe aren't quite as acceptable and presentable to the rest of the world. Maybe we have a few of those little annoying traits that we are very aware of, and so we try to hide those, and we try to mask those when we're in the public eye, or we're in a social setting with others, because we don't want to be judged, we don't want to be criticized, we don't want to be shunned, and so that's an important part for us. This month we continue our talk and our theme of the power of vulnerability. And we want to reflect on who we are with gentle eyes. Because I don't know about you, but when I go somewhere and I show that side of me that I'd rather not show, when that part of me shows up, that little agitated whatever voice that comes out of my mouth from time to time, you don't even have to judge me. I'm doing it for myself. I got this handled. Thank you, but I got it. I can go home, I can beat myself up about it, and that's what we have a tendency to do. And so what we want to look at is, what do we need to let go of? Maybe part of it is that self-reflection in that respect, where we get derogatory about ourselves. Don't stuff the negative stuff in the closet. Don't try to hide it or mask it, because when we're talking about the world of vulnerability and we're talking about authenticity like we did last month, it's the whole you, it's the whole being, it's the whole person. The good, the bad, and the not so pretty. Yeah. The first piece I want to touch on this afternoon is the idea of knowing. Now, knowing is not the same as believing. Knowing is when I know my own true nature. I know my purpose. I know what I meant. I know what direction I'm going into. I know how the world works. I know how we can all interact. I know how we can all communicate. Each one of us has a piece of that. We have some of that knowing within us. So let's hold on to that and move through this process. I have a quote here from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. How necessary it is not to attach our problems to divine mind, but to unite the divine mind with the answer to the problem. This means that we rearranged our thinking in such a way that we permit new ideas to flow in. The ideas, fears, and tensions that obstructed this flow are released. The stream flows free again. God is the answer to every human problem. Wow. The answer to every human problem. Can you feel the difference between attaching a problem to the divine and as opposed to uniting divine mind in the answer to the problem? Just a little bit of a difference in the semantics of how we say it, but a totally different perspective of what we're talking about. How beautiful is that? This quote gives us more insight about the idea of letting go. We can't open up to new things when we're burdened by old stuff. Yeah, I know you got something cool and neat to show me, but right now I got this big bag of gunk that I've been carrying around with me for years, and until I get through this and get this all resolved, I can't move forward. How is that serving us when we have that mindset, when we have that behavior? I love the word in here from Holmes where he speaks how necessary it is not to attach. The word attach. Yeah, that's that holding on, that's that gripping it, that's that not letting go, clenched fist kind of a thing. This can be a challenge for all of us. Probably has been at some point in your life or another. However, when we let go and we let God, we open up to letting in new life, new love, new ideas, and new experiences. Henry David Thoreau tells us that real power is measured by how much you can let things be. I love that. Can I leave it alone? Can I allow it to be what it needs to be? Perhaps we're trying to take on too much. And for any of you in the room or who are listening online who have children, I'm here to tell you, you probably are. Because we not only want to fix everything in our world, we want to fix everything in their world. And I've had quite a few conversations with my family. My oldest son and his family are in Monument. My youngest is in Colorado Springs, and we've had a lot of conversations lately. And the other day I was sitting thinking and doing some prayer work about things that had been brought to my attention, and I thought, whoa, wait, what am I doing here? Am I carrying this around now that they have had some opportunity to share some stuff with me? Am I trying to fix their stuff because, I'm older and wiser and I'm the mom and isn't that my job? Or am I able to allow the divine to work through the prayer that I'm offering and allow them to figure it out? It's a great question. I got my answers. You can go get your own answers. It's all about that ability to just take a deep breath. To take a deep breath, and as you exhale, allow yourself to be present in the now and to know what the divine is doing and to listen to see if there's something more you must do, if there's something more we must do. The word power in this quote does not mean you're going to bulldoze your way through it. We have a very interesting, misunderstood concept of what power is about. I'm talking about the power of God, the power of the divine, the power that is in all life that is here for us to use as we need and as we choose. For me and my life, for you and your life, for what you need, what you want. Not for me to decide what power I need to bring forth to be sure and tell Lindsay what she needs to do. No, it's not that. It's not about that. It doesn't work that way. Power is connected to our faith. We are more powerful when we hold true to our faith. And that's the very knowing of how it all works. Yeah, life could be really screwed up in a moment. Things could feel really out of control. Things could just feel like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? However, in that place of my faith, I know that I'm moving forward. I'm moving past it. I'm moving on to whatever is bigger, greater, better, and I'm letting this go. There was a couple of monks were out walking one day. It was a beautiful sunny day. The birds were singing, and it was just the sky was crystal clear, and they were just walking along as monks do, and they were in conversation, and they came to a place where the river was usually where they would cross the river, but at that moment in time, the river looked a little bit choppy. It looked a little bit aggressive. And what they saw on the riverbank was a woman sitting and crying. And she was very upset, and she was fearful. And they asked her what was going on, and she's, I have to get across the river, and I am scared to step into this water. And so one of the monks looked at her And he said, well, you know what? Why don't I stoop down and you climb up on my shoulders and I'll carry you across? So she did. And when they got to the other side of the river, he squatted back down and let her off. She thanked them profusely and she went on her way. You know, monks aren't supposed to touch women. So the one monk who did not carry the woman wasn't happy. He was so unhappy that he became very disgruntled that his fellow monk had taken this stand and done this and allowed this woman to physically be on his shoulders. And so they continued to walk, and they seemed to be kind of preoccupied with their own thoughts. And after a while, a good while, he looked to the other monk and he said, you know what, brother, our spiritual training teaches us to avoid all contact with women. But you picked up that woman and you carried her on your shoulders across the river. You broke a sacred rule. And the other monk looked at him and he said, brother, this happened many, many miles back. It was I who carried the woman. It was I who placed her down on the other side over an hour ago. So why, my brother, are you still carrying her? What a great story. I've heard this many, many times. I'm sure you have as well. But what a great story to look at that idea. Put it down. Let it go. Have you ever talked to someone who brings forth a story or something that happened weeks ago, months ago, 25 years ago, and as they start to tell you the story, they are as agitated and upset about it as they were when it happened? I used to think that was a talent that I had, that I could tell you the story with the same kind of emotion and excitement as I did the day that it happened. I thought that was a really cool thing. And then I realized, no, I was reliving it. I was still holding on to it. So let's figure out what it is we're holding on to that isn't serving us that we can let go of. Dr. Holmes tells us to releasing the weight of past limiting beliefs and judgment frees us to rise up in faith, which is the mental assertion elevated to the plane of realization. So once we get this idea, once we really understand this, what happens is we start to notice that our lives are manageable. No, you'll never control it. Let that idea go. You'll never control it, but you can manage it. You can make it better. The more we give to God, the more we let go and let God, the more we move from the limiting beliefs that we may have had. The more we will rise up in our faith. I think sometimes we think, you know what? This time I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try and trust God this time. And then the next time you're going, but it didn't really work out well the last time, so I don't think I'm going to do it this time. I don't know about you, but that whole little story, that internal story that just happened, that's not based in faith at all. So here we have that idea of allowing. Can I allow Spirit to move in Spirit's own time frame? Can I be willing to let go and let God? I love Lindsay's song about it being easy. Keep telling yourself that. Because what we do is we block ourselves by going, oh no, that's going to be impossible. I can't possibly do that. That's not going to work for me. And Spirit's just right there in that beautiful presence saying, turn it over to me. Give it to me. When we look at all of this, and we look at some of the barriers that we create within ourselves to protect ourselves for fear of being vulnerable, all we are doing is building walls. Big, huge structures around us that keep others from getting close, that keep us from connecting at that heart level with one another. When we allow the full expression of who we are to come forth, we can move past some of that discomfort. We can breathe freely. It takes time. Yes, there will be challenges. And once we release these old thought patterns and they come crashing down, other stuff's going to show up. Absolutely, that's how the human condition is. That's how it is when we live here on planet Earth. If we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we are allowing ourselves to be embraced and loved. When we allow our thoughts, our emotions, our ideas, our creativity, and our messiness to be seen, not only by others, but by ourselves as well, life gets easier. Let's look this week at the opportunities we have to just let go, to gain a deeper understanding of who we are and how we want to interact with others, how we choose and desire to connect to ourselves, to others, to spirit, to the world around us. It is in that activity that we often find our true self. Rumi gives us this quote that says, "Moonlight floods the whole sky from horizon to horizon. How much it can fill your room depends on its windows." It's so funny because I think sometimes that we get agitated and we don't think our prayers are being answered and this isn't happening and this isn't going the way I want it to, and I've been praying about this for days and for weeks and whatever and nothing's happening, but we haven't allowed the light to touch us. We haven't allowed the idea to come forth. I mean, I've prayed about things before and an answer comes up and I'm thinking, I'm not sure that's the one I want. Try it anyway. Allow yourself to follow that guidance that Spirit gives to us. We have an action item in this process. We have an action item when we pray. When we pray for guidance, when we pray for clarity, when we pray for resolution, whatever it is we pray for, we have to be open and allowing to the answers that are coming to us. And then we get to be willing to follow through. It's not a magical process, even though I call it magic. I have a very dear friend who calls it the airy-fairy thing. It's not airy-fairy. It is faith. It is trust. It is knowing. When we let go of the gunk that's getting in the way, we let God in. How beautiful. How simple is that? Dr. Holmes gives us this quote as well. As you learn to release all your burdens to the right action of God, you will find that everything falls into its proper place. You let your problems slip away from you, realizing that a power greater than you are, a presence within you, is ready to guide you. Right here, in this space, right now, all the time, Spirit's right here. You know, I was thinking about this week as I was working on this talk. I am so grateful that Spirit, that God does not have a human factor in it. It's not a human being. However, because of who we are and how we are, we have done a whole lot to try to make the God being have human qualities. We used to call it He. We used to talk about, I don't know about you, but we had pictures. We had pictures of God. God had this big long beard and sat at this big huge desk, and He was a mean-looking dude. Mean. He wasn't happy with me. He was leaning over the desk like, what the heck were you thinking type thing. We gave it all of these human characteristics, and when we do that, we've diminished the power of that God being within us. And we don't have to do that. It's frustrating for me to think of all of that time wasted with that concept, but that was part of the growing. That was part of the growing into this place where we are now. But just think, if Spirit was a human entity, how frustrated would it be with your life right now? keeps telling you over and over again, keeps giving you really good examples of how you can move on with this, and we keep ignoring it, and it's kind of like, I mean, don't you get that way with your friends and family? When someone comes to you and asks for advice and then they don't listen to a darn word you said? Is it just me? Because I'm starting to realize that I need to do more prayer and less time chattering with other people, because I need to just be in that place of allowing them to figure it out. Sometimes I'm amazed at the lessons I learn in a moment's time. Many of you are aware that we have a piano that is property of New Dawn, and it has been living in my living room for a while. And the Leadership Council decided we were going to see if we could sell this piano. And so I kind of took that on, and I put an ad on Facebook Marketplace, and that was a disaster, and I wasn't happy about it. And we put some information in the happenings. I think we ran it for almost a whole month that we're selling this piano. It's, you know, it's a beautiful piano, it has great sound. I don't play the piano. And at our leadership meeting, we were talking about the piano and some of the possessions that New Dawn still has that probably aren't of value, not like the piano is. And it just has hurt my heart to have this beautiful instrument sitting in my living room and nobody's playing it. I can do chopsticks and a couple other things, and so when I left the leadership meeting, I thought, well, wait a second. Have I been praying about releasing this piano? Have I been thinking about releasing this piano? And so before I went to bed Thursday evening, I did some prayer work around that. And then I put a little note on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, with a picture of the piano and how this is a musical instrument and it needs to be played and it needs to express itself and all this wonderful stuff. And we're ready for this to go to the perfect home. I got up Friday morning with 2 people interested in our piano. By the end of the day, Friday, we had sold the piano. And I'm sitting there staring at it thinking, was I just not letting it go? What was this about? And I'm grateful to say that Unity of the Rockies will be transporting the piano sometime soon from my living room to Colorado Springs, where Dr. David Goldberg has asked for it to find its new home. And how wonderful, how beautiful, how exciting is that? Look how fast God worked through that process. Once I was no longer in resistance to whatever the heck it was I was holding on to. And I look at those lessons and I think, yeah, you know what, I would like to have learned that a while back, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. We learn when we're ready. That's where that allowing comes in, that we have to allow ourselves and allow others to get to that place. What happens to us is we develop a timeline. We look at the calendar and we want it to happen by this date. God doesn't have a calendar. We even pray about perfect God and perfect timing. When we pray about perfect God and perfect timing, that means I don't have to look at the calendar, the time of day, the month of the year. God's in charge of that. God does not operate in the linear world. We get to because it gives us structure. I think it keeps us from falling off the planet. I don't know. But anyway, God doesn't operate that way. So we want to keep that in mind and know that when we do take it to prayer and we turn it over, we can't get up the next day and be, okay, well, where's my answer? Now, I will tell you this. The Spirit and I have this incredible relationship, and when I actually am in that place and I'm letting go and I know I'm turning it over to God, I get an answer like that. I mean, sometimes it's fast. Some of you know that because some of you had your head spinning a couple years ago when I prayed and the answer was sell the building. And our practitioners prayed, our leadership council, you know, all of us kind of moved in that place, and all of a sudden as we're moving out of the building, and boom, 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 we were out of the building. And what was the perfect God, perfect timing in that situation? We closed the sale on the building in February of 2020. If you remember, in March of 2020, we wouldn't have been able to even go and meet in that building because of this wonderful thing that we got to experience together called the pandemic. So letting go of those burdens, letting go of my attachment to them, letting go of my desire to fix it myself. Because doesn't it feel good when you fix it yourself? When you go through basically hell on earth and you come out the other side and you've accomplished something great and you can tell everybody about it, doesn't that kind of feel good? Let's pick the easier idea. Let's pick the easier way to go through this. So my question for you is this. What are you facing every day that you're still holding on to? What's on your heart every morning when you wake up? And what's tumbling around in your mind as you go through the day and the process? The relationships that aren't working, the situations that don't feel comfortable, the idea that you just can't quite wrap your head around, whatever it is, what is that? And are you willing to step into that moment of knowing that it can be resolved with the power within you? Are you willing to allow the process to take place in the time frame that works on a divine level? And when is that moment for you? Is today a good day to turn that around? Is today a good day to just put it down and let it go? You can take it to prayer today, those of you in the room, because we have practitioners willing to pray with you after services. And what a better way is there to let go of something than to deliver it to someone else who's going to take that to prayer and release it for you, and you can walk out of here free of that challenge, burden, whatever. Pema Chodron tells us this. When we resist change, it's called suffering. But when we completely let go and not struggle against it, when we can embrace the groundlessness of our situation and relax into its dynamic quality, that, my friends, is called enlightenment. Do you want to suffer or do you want to be enlightened? I think that's a pretty clear choice, at least for me. So here's the place where we look at the idea of opening up to the new idea, opening up to something different, opening up to change, opening up to that risky sensation that I haven't been here before and I don't know quite what to do and how to be, but yet I'm open to the idea. What happens when this takes place, again, as Lindsay spoke in her song, which is so perfect, is that some of the new experiences aren't always going to be pleasant. They may not be experiences you're excited to have right away when you let go of the old and you open up to the new. But when we step into that ability to open up, it brings us to that wholeness, that fullness, and that richness of life. And that's when we can start to reap the rewards and just to feel good about that. Wholeness doesn't just represent the things we love. It also encompasses the things that we would rather not see or hear. When we open ourselves up to life fully and we see them as part of the wholeness, yes, there's challenge in that. Yes, there is. But when we're willing to be vulnerable, we're willing to risk, we're willing to trust and tap into faith, we can create that expanded space for ourselves. And in that expanded space, yes, we will feel joy and sadness. We will feel success and loss. We will feel sorrow and frustration. What we're called to do is loosen our grip on those areas of our life that hold us back, hold us down, and keep us playing small. So as we look at this today, vulnerability, letting go and letting in, we look at the idea of practicing our faith by living in the knowing of who we are. We are all creations of the divine. Every single one of us. No one got here without that source being a part of the process. And in that place, we get to take more time to allow. Maybe you don't need to tap into conversation with someone and convince them to see it from your perspective. Yay you for thinking you have the right answer. I have a lot of right answers. Most of them are right answers for me. Everyone else gets to figure out their own stuff. And then be open to what's coming forth for us, to be reminded of that wonderful phrase I spoke earlier in the one quote. God is the answer to every human problem. You may have been taught in your early years that we were only supposed to bring the important stuff to God. And the stuff that was kind of menial and not such a big deal, don't bother God with that. God's busy. God is not human. This divine being is not too busy for us. This divine being is right here supporting us all the time. God is the answer to every human problem. Pray with me. As we recognize this power, this presence, this divine being, this divine energy that permeates all life and surrounds us every minute of every day, we know and recognize right here and right now that that power is ours to use. It is not kept separate from us. It is not, we don't have to do something special to acquire it. We can just tap into it through prayer, through knowing, through faith. How beautiful is that? How amazing is it to know that I don't have to carry it all on my shoulders? None of us do. And so knowing this, I know that God's presence is here now, in this room, in this space, in the hearts of every one of us who are here in this moment, and in every person on planet Earth, and every person who's ever been. God has been here always, permeating all life, present for us, holding us, guiding us. How beautiful it is, how perfect it is, how gentle this energy is that supports us. And so what we know today is that we are not alone. We know that the only thing that has ever separated us in any way from the divine is our own mindset. God has never gone away, never gone anywhere, never left us. And so as we just allow that to kind of fill our hearts and our being and remind ourselves of who we are, how powerful we are, and that we are of God, we give thanks. We give thanks for this assurance. We give thanks for the very truth of who we are. We give thanks for the blessings that nourish us and show up in our lives, and we give thanks for the ability to let go and let in something new, something different, something beautiful. I bless all people everywhere, knowing that God is with everyone. Whether they recognize it or not, Spirit is present. I give thanks for the community of New Dawn, the beauty, the love, and the light that we are. And I give thanks for all of the people who tune into this message who aren't able to be here with us physically. And I give thanks for all people everywhere, whether I agree with how they behave or not. I can tap into that beautiful, loving essence and energy of who they are and how they are. So we just allow this to be the truth and the awareness that we take with us today. And we give thanks for all of this and the very privilege not only to be here, but to be here and touched by the divine and held by the divine. I am grateful, grateful, grateful for all of this. And so we just let it go. We turn it over to the law of mind, knowing that it is already done. It's perfect. It's good. It's all God. And we let it go and let it be as we say together, and so it is.
So around the same time as the previous song, I wrote this song. I had become aware of how much I'm supposed to be like this, I'm supposed to do that, and if I'm supposed to be happy all the time, or I'm supposed to be doing the work of Mother Teresa, and if I'm not doing those things, then there's a whole lot of judgment and whole kinds of things. So I found myself in Boulder, sitting next to a river and wanting to write a song for an open mic I was going to that night, and this song came out. Today I went down to the river. What was I supposed to do? Watch the people in the water. What else was I supposed to do? Chatted with a muddy toddler. What was I supposed to do? Smiled at his squealy laughter. What was I supposed to do? If you gotta work on gratitude and accept what's here today. Be where you are with what you have, or you'll suppose your life away. Today I talked to an old friend. How was that supposed to go? Our conversation ended badly. How was it supposed to go? Then I went to practice my guitar. How was that supposed to go? Well, I played it pretty crappy. How was it supposed to go? If you're gonna expect gratitude and accept what's here today. Be where you are with what you have, or you'll suppose your life away. I spent my time trying to escape what I think and how I feel. But now I lay down all my judgments for what is real, what is real. Today my temper got the best of me. How was I supposed to be? I acted like a child for an hour. How was I supposed to be? Then laughter finally found me. How else was I supposed to be? And I thanked my higher power. Thank God. How was I supposed to be? If you're gonna change to gratitude and accept what's here today. Be where you are with what you have, or you'll suppose your life away. Oh yeah. If you're gonna change to gratitude might accept what's here today. Be where you are with what you have, or you'll suppose your life away.
Hello. I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.